My son will be happier if I go too. Take me with you on your honeymoon. When I saw my mother-in-law with her arms crossed in a distinguished attitude, I felt something similar to giving up. No matter what she said, I had always been determined not to make things worse, but I couldn't do it anymore. I'm going to teach her a lesson. Despite my feelings, I smiled at my mother-in-law. Please, please, let's go together. My name is Nadia. I've dated Theo, my coworker who is 3 years older than me, and we just recently got married. We are living a happy life as newlyweds. At the beginning of our relationship, Theo was very dependable and cool. But as time went by, he started to show his cute and cuddly side. I acted tough and cool because I'm older, and I wanted you to see me that way. I loved how he hesitantly confessed his feelings. Life was smooth sailing, but there is one thing that worries me. That is my mother-in-law. For the past few weeks, my mother-in-law has been bothering Theo and me a lot. His parents are divorced, and he was raised by his mother. She must love him very much after she overcomes so many hardships. My mother-in-law's love for her son was so great that it was rumored even among relatives. Now she lives alone at her parents' house. She probably misses her son. She began to visit our home frequently. Good evening. I made your favorite food today, Theo. Let's eat it together. My mother-in-law would come into our house without even taking a glance at me. At first, Theo responded in an appropriate manner, but recently he started to make a displeased face.
Mom, I told you to call me in advance when you are coming. You don't have to come every day. Nadia cooks for me. It's only been 3 months since we started to live together. You could be a little more considerate.
He said this and warns her, but my mother-in-law is not the type of person who would be upset by such a thing. Well, it's my son's house, and I care about you so much. That's why I went out of my way to bring you your favorite food. I bet Nadia's food is not nutritious enough for you too.
But that doesn't mean...
Besides, you love my food, don't you? I don't think a young woman who can't take care of the housework would be able to make food to your liking. That's why I'm making it for you. Saying this, my mother-in-law looks as if she is sneering at me. I sensed some malice from the moment she greeted me at our wedding. But after our marriage, she became blatantly hostile. She was obviously making fun of me. But she's still Theo's mother. If I could, I would not want to aggravate the relationship any further. I am the one Theo loves the most. I am the one who understands Theo the best. My mother-in-law seems to think so of herself. Moreover, she seems to think that Theo is forcing himself to eat the food I cooked. Today is not the first time my mother-in-law has brought food. She has been bringing us more and more dishes day by day. Moreover, the things she brings are getting more elaborate, possibly to bring me down. Theo, today is beef stew. I cooked homemade beef stock for this. Isn't it amazing? If you only have things that can be made in a few minutes, they will taste the same, and you will get bored, won't you? Theo warned my mother-in-law, seeing me in silence.
Mom, you've never eaten Nadia's food. Why the hell are you talking like that? Apologize to her. Nadia's food tastes so good, you know.
Even when Theo was furious, his mother did not seem to flinch. Instead, she just laughed and patted Theo on the shoulder. Oh my goodness, you don't have to protect her with such lies. You're really kind, aren't you? I'm so proud of you. Without breaking her pace, my mother-in-law continued. Yes, how's the honeymoon planning going? Although we got married 3 months ago, we have yet to go on our honeymoon. Theo and I have the same off-work season, so we had planned to take a long vacation and go on a relaxing trip. However, I noticed my mother-in-law's eyes light up. I'd like to go to Europe. Beautiful cities, delicious food. There are many sightseeing spots too. What do you say? Hawaii is also nice, although it's pretty common. Spending some time on a beautiful beach. Where else? It seemed like she wanted to continue, so I cut the conversation short. Well, yes, we are thinking about where to go, so we'll keep your suggestions in mind. Apparently, my mother-in-law didn't like that and glared at me sharply. Suggestions in mind? You can't decide on this without me. This is a trip for the three of us. What? I look at Theo in surprise. A trip for three? Is it possible that she is planning to follow us on our honeymoon? She hasn't said anything about the trip before this. Like me, Theo couldn't hide his surprise either.
Mom, what do you mean by a trip for the three of us? It's our honeymoon. Of course it's going to be just the two of us.
Theo's voice was laced with anger and impatience. But his mother paid no attention to him and continued. Oh, there's no rule that says mothers are not allowed to accompany their children on their honeymoon, is there? It's fine. The three of us are traveling together. We are a family, so let's have fun together. Theo tried to persuade her again and again after that, but she did not get persuaded a single bit. I'm going to leave for today, but please don't decide the schedule and the destination without my permission. I have my opinions too, and please make sure you eat the stew. With that she left. By this time, Theo's face was full of fatigue.
I'm sorry, Nadia. I will convince my mother. I want to go on our honeymoon with you and only you. So please don't hate me.
As soon as my mother-in-law left, Theo apologized deeply. Of course, I confidently replied, I would never hate you. My love for Theo did not change with just the kind of person my mother-in-law was. She has shown this kind of behavior toward her son. In fact, she had been warned by her daughter and relatives before. No mother would go on a honeymoon with their son. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Let them go alone. My sister-in-law in particular immediately scolded my mother-in-law, but my mother-in-law would not listen to her at all. It's really troublesome to have such an insane mother. If you don't clearly say no, she's seriously going to follow you. Theo received a message from his sister, and his shoulders dropped in despair. 1 week later, once again, my mother-in-law came to our house. This time, she spoke in a more forceful tone than usual. Everyone says it's unusual, but when I looked into it, it turns out that there are more cases than you might think. Parents accompanying their children on their honeymoon. So I'm not wrong. Yeah, what's wrong with me going with my son on his honeymoon? I'm definitely going with you now.
I've told you so many times,
Theo replied.
I'm going on my honeymoon with Nadia. I'm not planning to take you on this trip. Maybe some parents will tag along, but that's with the kids' permission, right? I haven't given you permission. Just give up.
But she's not the kind of woman who would give up with just something like that. I can't believe you would say such a thing. You've never disobeyed me before. You learned to rebel after you married Nadia. That's why I was against this marriage. I honestly thought, why do I have to be told such a thing now? My mother-in-law's anger had somehow turned toward me. Nadia, it's because of you that Theo became such a person. How can you take responsibility for this? My son will be happier if I go too. Take me with you on your honeymoon. Then I will forgive you for everything, okay? When I saw my mother-in-law with her arms crossed in a distinguished attitude, I felt something similar to giving up. No matter what she said, I had always been determined not to make things worse, but I couldn't do it anymore. I'm going to teach her a lesson. I had a lot of dark emotion swirling around inside. But despite my feelings, I smiled at my mother-in-law. Please, please, if you could allow me to stay married with Theo by coming on this trip, let's go together. At my reply, Theo turned pale and panicked.
Nadia, wait a minute.
Don't worry, you will see. I chuckled while steadily making plans in my head. My mother-in-law, oblivious to my intentions, happily responded. Oh, you're more understanding than I thought you'd be. You should have done as I told you from the beginning. Well, it's your honeymoon, so I will let you decide where to go. Call me when you're decided. With that, my mother-in-law left the house. A few months later, the three of us were really going on our honeymoon. The destination was a famous beach resort. I planned everything about the trip. The way I dressed to the way I behaved. I made every possible preparation to match Theo's taste to the fullest. After dropping off our luggage at the hotel, we immediately went to the beach. After a long day of fun, we went to have dinner at a nice restaurant. As we were enjoying the food that was being served to us one after the other, Theo shyly said,
Maybe it's because we are on our honeymoon, but you look prettier than usual.
I replied with a big smile. Thank you, Theo. I'm really happy to be on my honeymoon with you. Then, Theo gave me a serious look.
I'm so happy to have married you. I look forward to my future with you.
I'm looking forward to our future too. Theo was in a good mood, shown through his sweeter words to me than usual. It was not that he was ignoring his mother, but Theo seemed to only see me, and I could only see Theo. Of course, this was a calculated effort to make me look prettier than usual. A frilly cute dress with a hibiscus on my ear. I spoke in a sweet tone of voice, which I usually don't use, to create the mood that Theo would like. Oh, hey! My mother-in-law could not come into our world and was isolated. She couldn't stand it and began to speak ill of me. This restaurant isn't that good, is it? You don't like this kind of food, do you, Theo? And Nadia, you really don't know anything about Theo, do you? If it were me, I would have chosen the restaurant across the street. Then Theo glared at his mother.
If you feel that way, why don't you just go to that restaurant? It's disrespectful to this restaurant and to Nadia to say such a thing. I think the food is delicious, and I'm really grateful that she chose this restaurant where I can eat my favorite shrimp. I really appreciate it. Theo's low, husky voice made my mother-in-law flinch for a moment.
But then she looked at me and started to say things again. You can eat shrimp at any restaurant. Besides, what is the plan for today? Just going to the beach and eating? We've come all the way here for a trip. This is something we could have done near our house.
Why don't you go home then?
Theo said without a pause.
She was the one that invited you and did all the planning. What was that tone of voice? I didn't want you to come in the first place. If you're going to be a stinker on our honeymoon, why don't you just go home? No one asked you to come.
My mother-in-law was at loss of words and looked down. We then left the restaurant and headed to our hotel. On the way, Theo put his hand around my waist and stayed right next to me and did not move away. My mother-in-law kept talking to Theo, but each time she was coldly dismissed. Soon after, she began to distance herself from us. Yes, this was my goal. I wanted to show how much Theo thought about me, and show how much of a difference there is between my mother-in-law and me through this honeymoon. I had no intention of playing any tricks on her, because I was confident from the beginning that Theo loved me and that I could beat my mother-in-law. If I had played tricks on her, there was a possibility that my mother-in-law would not accept defeat. That is why I wanted to show her how much we loved each other, and that she would not be able to make any rebuttal. There is no space for me between the two of them. If my mother-in-law thought this, my plan was a success. The next day, we were able to enjoy our honeymoon to the fullest. The reason was that my mother-in-law shouted and suggested that she will look around on her own. She was giving off a blatant shouting attitude, but Theo left her to go alone. This also seemed to have taken its toll on her, and she remained quiet until the last day. However, the tragedy did not end there. My mother-in-law now spoke ill of me to my sister-in-law after returning from our trip. It was terrible. She made sexual advances toward Theo and treated me like I was invisible. She is such a clever woman. I knew I shouldn't have let her marry my son. She must have thought she would feel sorry for her and continue to tell her how right she was. Theo has also fallen so in love with that woman. He doesn't care about me at all, even though it was a trick with his mother. I'm the one who is important, right? The mother should come first, shouldn't she? Of course, my sister-in-law brushed off my mother-in-law's opinion. What are you talking about? The honeymoon is for the two of them. It's only natural that you would be left out. It's true that the mother should be cared for, but I wouldn't want to go on my honeymoon with my mother either. No, are you saying that I'm wrong? Well, you still think you're right. I can't believe you. You're insane. I'm so ashamed that my own mother is like this. From then on, my mother-in-law seems to have been ignored by my sister-in-law. Moreover, my sister-in-law seems to have spread this story to all the relatives. After this, my mother-in-law was not taken seriously by her relatives, and she had to live a lonely life by herself. I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me. I don't mind if Nadia stays too, so are you moving with me? My mother-in-law sent such a message to Theo when she couldn't bear the loneliness. However, Theo never responded because he didn't like how his mother worded, I don't mind if Nadia stays too. A year has passed since our honeymoon. My mother-in-law has not visited our house for a long time. Theo and I, on the other hand, have been able to grow in love without being disturbed by anyone. We will be welcoming a new member to our family in 6 months. We both look forward to shopping for baby items on weekends. I'm looking forward to living a happy and peaceful life with my family of 3, excluding my mother-in-law.